Good morning, YouTube. Today is March 12th. I'm reporting live from New Orleans as our local Berkshire Hathaway franchise brings in number 2 in overall units. So congrats to Berkshire Hathaway Home Services, The Preferred Realty, and Stauffer Realty. That's awesome. Tom and Anthony, our little engine that could in Western Pennsylvania, number 2 in the country. That's pretty cool.
Yes. Good morning and good job, Ryan, bringing it home for us. I appreciate it.
We're just here representing the mortgage division, as the real estate division, again, is just killing it, sweeping up across the country.
Oh, that's phenomenal work by them. I mean, it was a down year, and they turned it into a good year for all of them. So there is positives to bring out of it.
Yeah, I hope everyone didn't celebrate too much on Bourbon Street last night, though I'm sure a few did. Anth, you ever indulge in Bourbon Street before?
Definitely. It's a good time. It's a good time. I don't know why they put Pat O'Brien's all the way down the other end. It's like you gotta do so much just to get there. So
yeah, I didn't make it to Pat O'Brien's, I'm going to be honest. I did make it to a place called The Dungeon, which was the strangest bar I've ever been in. But yeah, it was a good experience. Came to New Orleans once. I don't know if I'll be back, but I got the Bourbon Street and I survived. So yeah, today, our biggest talk before Anthony does his presentation today is we've been getting a lot of conversations on appraisal waivers. They've been around for a couple years. Fannie Mae's kind of changed them a little bit with their name. But an appraisal waiver is when a buyer doesn't have to get an appraisal when they purchase a home. What? I know, crazy, right? It's not picked by the lender. It's not picked by the loan officer. Tom's not sitting there looking through, oh, I like this buyer, no appraisal for them. Anthony goes, oh, yeah, this buyer's got to get an appraisal. Not how it works. And if one company gets an appraisal waiver for a buyer, more than likely, I would assume, because we all run things through the same automated underwriting systems, either through Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac, every lender would get that an appraisal waiver. So it's not specific to a lender. It could be, maybe, depending on how they're running it through, but more than likely, every buyer would get that waiver. And there's guidelines to it. Like anything in the mortgage world, we don't flip a coin and just hope there's an appraisal waiver. The buyer has to meet the guidelines, and then the automating underwriting system has to approve the guidelines. Make sense so far? Yes. Biggest thing. Yeah. It has to be conventional loans only, and it has to be at least 20% down. So if your buyers,
what if I don't want that?
We'll get there, Tom. We'll get there. Okay. Crazy enough.
That's the number one question we do get.
Crazy enough. The mortgage industry thought this would be positive across the board, right? Oh my God, the mortgage process is actually easier. We don't need an appraisal. Let's streamline this, get closed. It's saving the borrower money. It's saving the borrower time. And then you hear these like crazy scenarios that buyers and agents want the appraisal because they want it to come in low so they can negotiate. That is a wild attempt at negotiating on a transaction, hoping that the appraisal comes in low. Me personally, I wouldn't recommend putting in an offer like that. If you're not happy with the current purchase price, you shouldn't buy the home. And don't hope that it's just going to come in lower for an appraised value.
That was well said right there. I mean, There is no benefit to trying to negotiate backwards like that. Don't pay the price if you don't think it's worth it.
Yeah. And guess what? If there's an appraisal waiver, the lender is very much protected from the government. That lender isn't ordering an appraisal. We're good. for financing. We're lending the money. We're happy lending the money. If you and the real estate agent want to go get an appraisal, you have to go and order one yourself and use it for your own sources. It's not going to be used for financing. This should be a positive thing. There's a decade worth of appraisals in a database that the government and Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac are using for this whole, appraisal waiver. There is analytics behind it. So if Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac say it's good to go, then we're moving forward. It's a conventional loan. It's 20% down. There's already an appraisal in the database, so it can see the old appraisal with the new information and say, hey, this value is good for that property.
No, yeah, it's nothing but a positive. I mean, in that regards, if we get an appraisal waiver, it is telling you that your home is worth what you're paying for it. I mean, one of the main things the appraisal is for, it's for the lender. There is pieces that are for the buyer, but the main piece is for the lender to let us know that the home's worth the money that we're giving you to get the house. So you got to remember the lender is the one giving all the money to buy the house. You're just paying it back. And that's what we're looking at, your ability to pay it back.
I never in a million years when this came out that we would have it as a negative when some buyers and agents would get mad that we're not ordering an appraisal. Hey, we're making that easier, but somehow we're getting yelled at. And in this business, like 52 years, I can't believe that some folks get upset that they're not getting an appraisal. You got to unmute yourself if we're going to talk here too. But it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good thing, but I mean, I can understand the concern from the buyer, but on the same token, the government feels that property is at least worth that. So, and the question I usually get is the appraisal addendum. I'm sorry, that has nothing to do with the financing end. In essence, when we get an appraisal waiver, one's not going to be needed.
Yep, that's also a big point, Ann. Right? When you're getting your mortgage and you're buying your home, those are two different sides of things. The real estate contract, the sales contract, has nothing to do with the financing side. That has everything to do with your real estate transaction. There's a real estate transaction, and then there's a mortgage approval that are happening simultaneously. And just because something's on one, it may not affect the other. And that's the biggest cohesion that you need between a loan officer and a real estate agent, so you don't get those items mixed up or issues at the end on one side or the other.
Yeah, I think the buyer should always be happy getting the appraisal waiver. First off, you get to save that $550, and then you know that you're paying what that house is worth, and your real estate agent did their job to make sure that the comparables in the area were worth what you offered on that home. That's a big component of it. We got to be double checking, not just paying what the price is of the home. We need to make sure that home's worth it. When the buyer's real estate agent's going around and showing all these properties, they also have to do the work and their due diligence to make sure that home is actually worth that.
Well, I mean, we get joked all the time. Oh, the lender's going to get the blood work done at closing, right? We'll save the blood work at closing. And everyone gets on us about all this documentation and the mortgage process. And we come out with something easier and better for the buyers. And it's like, oh, nope, I still want this because I hope the price of the house drops. That is no way to negotiate. And that is a dangerous way. And that's all I'm going to say on that one.
I chuckle when I hear that. I can't help but chuckle. Why did you offer that amount then? Oh, well, we thought it was going to be less than that. We had to win multiple offers. I mean, I get it. It's tough. But if you don't think the house is worth it, then don't
have buyer's remorse the next day, because it could cost you your hand money. Just saying. Focus, think, look at the payment. And if you put an offer in and you don't have a cost sheet or you don't know those numbers, absolutely working with the wrong loan officer and wrong company. But Anthony, we're putting a bow on the appraisal waiver. You take it over. How much is your buyer going to qualify for?
All right. So we're sitting here at a total combined income yearly of, say, $200,000. All right. That equates to like $208. But
Woo!
we're looking at a
Joe Biden's
total
taxing
household
them.
income. We're looking at a total household income, husband, wife, spouse, girlfriend, boyfriend, whoever's going to be on the loan. So that would be their total household income. Okay. Ultimately, that monthly income is going to be $16,680 a month. Now, allowable debt ratio is going to be 45% of that, which is going to be 7,506. Now, in the scenario of debts, we're looking at total debt that the party can have, which is everything that shows on credit, plus the new mortgage, taxes, and insurance, as well as PMI if they have it. So I'm assuming that this person owns a house now. They're not going to sell to buy to eliminate the contingency. So their total debt's going to be a little bit more than your average, with including that current mortgage payment with all their other debts and the new. So their qualifying max monthly payment after those debts can only be $2,836. So how much can this person buy a home for? Okay. So they can actually buy, you would think it would be more, but it's because they're holding their other property. So the max they could purchase is $300,000 at a rate of 6.875 with an APR of 7.211, with estimated taxes of $7,200 a year. Homeowners estimated at $1,200 a year, with monthly PMI of 8313. That's going to put their monthly payment at $2,655, which allows for a little bit of wiggle room, not much, but a little bit of wiggle room in case the homeowner's insurance or the taxes come in a little higher. So, but that's what a client's going to be able to buy if this scenario is correct.
That is such a good scenario, Anth. The reason is because holding the home. We all know the last 2 years, if you have a home and you want to buy a new one, your real estate agent's probably going to drop some news on you that you can't qualify for a contingent offer. You're going to have to try to buy and then sell. Not everyone can do. No. Not everyone can do that. I think I'm losing internet. I don't know what's going on here in New Orleans, but baby, the contingent offer is tough to be aware of that. So I think I'm losing you, boys. This is it for Tuesday. If you have any questions for qualifying, give us a call. See you guys Friday.
Good job, guys.